Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. There was three fight announcements today. I may not do an announcement on one of them. Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castano. I might do a video on it. I'm not sure because it is actually somewhat of an intriguing fight. But anyway, let's get this one out of the way. So Gervonta Tank Davis, who certainly has been one of the greater rising stars in all of boxing for the past couple of years, who finally, in my opinion, in his last fight, got a A-class win over Leo Santa Cruz. So I give him a lot of credit for that win. And I know there's a certain amount of people out there that like to say that, Gervonta Tank Davis was naturally bigger than Leo Santa Cruz. And I agree, he's naturally bigger when it comes to weight, but Leo Santa Cruz, in my opinion, is at least a natural 130-pounder. Let's not forget, Leo Santa Cruz, for a decent amount of his career, actually was not fighting a certain amount of top contenders, actually avoided some of them, and a certain amount of people are not going to agree with that, but that's just the bottom line. Those are the facts. Leo Santa Cruz, in my opinion, is a natural 130-pounder. Now, Gervonta Tank Davis is at least a natural 135-pounder. In terms of weight, he might even be a natural 140-pounder. Gervonta Tank Davis, he's a big guy, man. He's a pretty thick guy. I think that he has a lot of power. He has A-grade power, A-plus power, even if you want to rank it that high. When it comes down to it, Gervonta Tank Davis, man, he looks like a very, very special fighter. And this next fight has recently been announced to be Mario Barrios, I believe. Is it Barrios? Barrios? I can't remember. But anyways, I recognize the name. I know who Mario is. I've seen him in a couple of fights. He was shown on PBC a few times. I believe he competes at the 140-pound division. This isn't the worst fight that I think Gervonta Tank Davis can get, but I wasn't necessarily expecting a fight like this. I was expecting a fight at 135, but who knows? Maybe Gervonta Tank Davis is moving up to 140. I don't know. We'll see what happens. To be honest with you, I don't know. If Gervonta Tank Davis does move up to 140, I think that a fight against any one of the elite guys would be a great fight. Jose Ramirez, Josh Taylor, Bridges Prograis. That fight to me would ring bells. That fight, any one of those fights I think would be great. Personally, if I had to guess, is Gervonta Tank Davis going to fight those fighters? Probably not. He apparently called out Josh Taylor a very long time ago. I don't think that he was very serious about facing Josh Taylor, but it is what it is. He doesn't necessarily have to be right now. Josh Taylor is a little bit more of an experienced fighter when it comes to elite class competition, so I don't necessarily mind that fight not happening right now. But this is going to be an interesting fight. I don't think that it's an A-grade fight. A certain amount of people may disagree. What I think that this fight is really to test how great Gervonta Tank Davis is going to be at 140 pounds. Mario, in my opinion, is not an A-grade fighter. To be honest with you, one of the fights that he had a couple of fights ago, I believe it was against some sort of Russian, I thought he lost that fight, to be honest with you. I thought that he lost that fight when I watched it. And Mario, I thought, got a bad decision. I don't see him as an A-grade fighter. I don't see him as the most defensively responsible. He's a pressure fighter. I'm not saying that he can't box a little bit, but I'm just, and he has a little bit of power, but I'm just not overtly impressed. I don't think that Mario has that A-grade power that Gervonta Tank Davis has. When I take a look at this fight, I think it's going to be competitive for about 3 or 4 rounds. And then I think Gervonta Tank Davis, I think he's going to beat the living hell out of Mario. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Gervonta Tank Davis is a very talented fighter, man. I give him a lot of props when we talk about his skill set. He really impresses me. I think he has the potential to be the best fighter at 135 pounds. Maybe one day the best at 140. It's a little bit tougher seeing that because Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis and Jose Ramirez, if they remain there, and even Victor Postal, those are all really tough fights, and they kind of outsize Tank in terms of reach and height by a little bit, some of them by a great deal. So that would be a tough fight. Now, once again, weight, Gervonta Tank Davis, who knows, he might even be a natural 140-pounder because that's how big sometimes Gervonta Tank Davis can look. But his last fight against Leo Santa Cruz, I thought it was a very tough fight. I thought that it was a very good fight. I give him a lot of props for knocking out Leo Santa Cruz the way that he did. Leo Santa Cruz, in my opinion, at the time was the top 20 pound-for-pound fighter. And when it comes down to it, I give him a lot of props. Leo Santa Cruz, in my opinion, was an A-class fighter. Was he a bit smaller in terms of weight? Yeah, sure, I think so. But Leo Santa Cruz, when it comes down to it, he's a great fighter. I give Gervonta Tank Davis a lot of credit for beating Leo Santa Cruz. Once again, do I think that this is an A-grade fight that he's having next against Mario? I don't think it is. I think that he's pretty much going to dominate him, if not knock him out. I could see this going to unanimous decision, and that would kind of tell me how much of a chance Gervonta Tank Davis is going to have at the 140-pound division if he faces one of those A-grade fighters, because most likely, if he doesn't have the power to knock out Mario Barrios, and a certain amount of people may disagree, but most likely, if he has a tough fight against Mario, or if he is not able to knock him out, or at least look very decently powerful at that weight, there's a decent chance Gervonta Tank Davis may lose to all those fighters at 140 pounds out of the A-class fighters. Jose Ramirez, Josh Taylor, and Regis Prograis, because he may have the weight possibly to carry up to 140, but he just may not have the reach, and he just may not have the height to really compete with those guys. I seen Miguel Cotto kind of had the same problem at 154 pounds. Cotto wasn't really a natural 154 pounder. He was more of a natural welterweight because he would kind of rehydrate at 160, and a lot of welterweights actually rehydrate at 160. But Cotto, he had the skills to compete with a certain amount of those 154 pounders. But then when he would get in the ring with some of the guys that would outreach him and outsize him, he had a little bit of a problem because he just couldn't compete with their size. So it's kind of the same thing here. We're going to see how well Gervonta Tank Davis could potentially do at the 140-pound division. Personally, I think that there's some big fights at the 135-pound division that can be pretty good, but we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be very interesting. Teofimo Lopez, he might move up to 140 pounds soon as well, because Teofimo, he's pretty big for that division as well. So we'll see what happens. Both Gervonta and Teofimo could be at 140 because they're pretty decently big and very decently powerful. I think that that's an A-grade fight. That'd be a fantastic fight, but I don't see that fight happening right now, especially with one being on the PBC and one being on Top Rank. Those guys always have problems usually trying to set up fights with each other, with the exception of Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, but it is what it is. Anyway, one thing also to mention, I believe this fight happens on June 26th. I think that it's also going to be on pay-per-view. In my opinion, if you're a person that can't afford, a certain amount of these fights on pay-per-view, can only afford a few fights here and there on pay-per-view, I wouldn't be buying this fight on pay-per-view. I don't think that, I don't know. Maybe it depends on what else is going to be happening, but I don't think that this is really worthy of a pay-per-view fight. I think they're really trying to test out Gervonta Tank Davis' star power right now. Personally, I don't think this is really worth the pay-per-view fight, but that's just my opinion. I think that it's not an A-grade fight. I think Mario is an okay fighter, but I think as soon as he faces an A-grade fighter, that he's clearly going to lose, because once again, I thought he lost the fight a couple fights ago. So it is what it is, but we'll see what happens. It'll be very interesting. I just don't see the skill set for Mario to give Gervonta Tank Davis that tough of a fight, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll be a great fight. Maybe Mario even pulls out in this fight, but to be honest with you, I just don't see that happening. We'll see what happens. But anyway, interesting fight. I don't think that it's necessarily, excuse me, once again, an A-grade fight. But we'll see what happens. Who knows? Gervonta Tank Davis, after this, he might try and capture a title once Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor, once they kind of unify the division in a fight that they have next month in May, I think on May 22nd. One of those guys might leave and actually get rid of their titles in order to move up to 147. If I had to guess, that's what they're probably going to do. But we'll see what happens. You never know what's going to happen in these fights. It'll be very interesting. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. In my opinion, I don't think this really, needed to be a pay-per-view, but I see what they're doing. They're trying to see how great of a star Gervonta Tank Davis really is, how much of a pay-per-view gate attraction he really is. In my opinion, Gervonta Tank Davis, he's going to be a very big star in the sport of boxing. I think that he's a great fighter, man. Great fighter. Great fighter. Very talented. So, we'll see what happens. It'll be very interesting. That's really about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think on this fight. Do you think it's an A-grade fight? Do you think it's not? I personally don't think it is, but it's whatever. Anyway, that's really about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all later, and have a wonderful day.